Wednesday, November 29th. I'm Rim.
And I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, due to popular demand, we go back to comics for a bit and review Mouse Guard.
Let's do this.
So over the weekend, since Emily can't really use it in her dorm, she decided to give me her old Yamaha keyboard, which is actually quite a bit better than the keyboard I had when I was a kid. It's a pretty beefy box.
When I was a kid, I had this tiny, tiny keyboard.
I had the same one, probably. It was like the CT6, I forget which one it was. This tiny little thing. It had a tiny microphone in the top right.
Mine didn't have a tiny microphone. No.
Really?
No.
Mine had a microphone. You could record 1 second of audio, and then it would play it back through keys.
Oh, wow. No. Mine was it had very small keys for like little hands, and it had 2 sets of 8 buttons, and the first 8 buttons were different instruments you could play, and the second 8 buttons were different backbeats you could run.
Oh.
And you could change the tempo of the backbeats, and you could change the pitch of the instruments a little bit.
See, this thing
you could record a small demo loop and then play that back and then play over it.
Yeah, I had a little tiny one, and then I had a pretty good one, and then eventually my parents bought me that digital piano.
Mm-hmm.
But this keyboard sitting behind me now, and I kind of integrated it into my desk, is a full-on MIDI authoring keyboard that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. That's not necessary.
I'm really pleased with this, and it has inspired me, along with a couple of people in the forums who asked why I didn't just arrange some music for Geeknights. I responded in the forum that the answer was purely laziness, and hopefully over this Christmas break when I have some free time, I'm going to actually sit down and try to arrange something again.
Man, if you think that's cool, you should check out a modern keyboard.
I am well aware.
This thing is mad old.
I am well aware of keyboard technology. In fact, back in high school even, my friend Ken had a very, very nice keyboard, and he was doing stuff with MIDI before I even knew what MIDI was.
Yeah. I mean, this thing can't even make the Eurobeat noise, so...
Well, it can. I can make any noise if I plug it into a MIDI synthesizer as opposed to using the built-in synth.
Yeah, but it doesn't have Eurobeat built in. So what good is it? It's not good at all. It needs Eurobeat.
Right, so what do you got in the news, since I got nothing else to say about this?
So... a while ago, I think I might have done a story about the top 10 most important people in manga in America. The top guy is a guy named Kurt Hassler. Kurt Hassler, his job until recently, and that's the news, is that it's no longer his job, was to purchase manga and graphic novels, comics for Borders and Walden Books because it's the same company. That, because all a retailer really is a middleman. They buy stuff from one person and they sell it to someone else. So when you're a book retailer, you buy stuff from publishers and sell it to people. So his job was to buy bajillions of copies of manga and graphic novels and then sell them to you and me. And he had to figure out how many to buy, which ones to buy, who to buy them from, which stores to send them to, all kinds of stuff. So he was a real important guy. Apparently, on November 6th, which is already 20 days ago, but I totally missed the news, 23 days ago, he decided he doesn't want to do that anymore. Now, he's actually going to go into the business of selling some manga and some comics.
Oh, really?
Yep. Apparently, what's the name of this company? Some publisher that I've never heard of.
You totally deserve the thought bird right there, but I'm not gonna rip off Anime World Order.
Apparently, Hachette. I don't know. Do you know a publisher named Hachette?
Never heard of him, but honestly, until recently...
I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right. It's Hachette.
Hatchet?
Hatchet, maybe it's Hatchet. Who knows?
I've never really paid attention to who published the things I like.
Yeah, me either, really. Anyway, Hatchet is a publisher, and they're making a new imprint named Yen Press.
Okay.
And Yen Press is going to be a new publisher of manga in America, and it's going to be Kurt Hassler is going to be the man, and he's going to be deciding what manga they're going to get and bring over here, and he's going to be trying to sell it to people who did his former job. So he's probably going to do a good job of it, because if it was your job to buy stuff and then suddenly you become the guy trying to sell stuff to your former position, you know what to tell yourself to convince you to buy it. So you know what to tell the person who has your old job to convince them to buy it.
Unless they're just a different person.
It could be, but, considering hopefully they make their decisions based on the same logic and such.
I mean, suppose for a second that the guy who takes over happens to be, say, David Riley from Fast Karate for the Gentleman.
Oh, God.
They'll order nothing but Fist of the North Star and more Fist of the North Star.
Well, I think Kurt Hassler's a smart guy, so if he knew Dave Riley and Dave Riley got his old job somehow, there would be much Fist of the North Star licensed and brought over. No. But yeah, expect to see a lot of Yen Press books in Borders in, I don't know, some months, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I've never been that impressed with Borders' selection of manga.
They do not carry Phoenix, therefore they suck.
Well,
basically, they carry everything. They carry all the Tokyo Pops and all the mainstream stuff. They don't carry the Viz Signature series, which is pretty much the only thing you need to carry, because that's all the good stuff.
Well, I used to get all my manga from the bookstores in the mall, like Walden Books.
Yep.
And before that, I used to get them from Media Play off and on. But now, honestly, I get them all from the internet.
Yeah, Amazon.
In fact, when I think about it, I rarely buy anything other than food from any source other than the internet.
I buy household goods from not the internet.
Well, yeah, household goods and food.
Yeah. I mean, I try to buy household goods on the internet, but you can never be sure. I mean, I bought like some bed sheets and towels and stuff like that.
Those towels are great.
Yeah, but man, I can't buy bowls or spatulas on the internet. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, but we buy them at the grocery store, so we don't have to go shopping.
It's true.
I mean, when was the last time we went to a mall?
Oh, I don't buy clothing and shoes on the internet either.
Oh, no. But I try to buy them, if I can, down in New York City.
Or sporting goods or outdoors goods.
Actually cheaper.
Yeah, but other than that.
What outdoor goods would you need? What do you do outdoors?
Like hardware. I don't buy hardware. Like if I go to Home Depot instead.
Yeah. But what sporting goods do you need? What do you do other than walk between your car and the house in the cold?
Balls.
Yeah.
I need balls to play with.
I'm well aware of that. All right. So this isn't really an anime news. In fact, it's not at all an anime news. It's some video game news, but there's really no anime news I care about, and I'm really not going to talk about the anime news that Anime World Order talks about, because if you really care about that stuff, you can listen to them.
Or you can read AnimeNewsNetwork.com and get all the anime news.
Yeah.
For anyone out there who doesn't, who actually thinks that our show is about reporting news, our show is not the place to get the news.
No.
Our show is the place where we comment on the news.
We're also kind of a filter. If you don't want to read the news, you'll figure out what's important to us from listening, except for the fact that we don't talk about politics or military stuff.
Yeah, you get the top 1 or 2 stories, and none of the, what you really need to know is the top 5 or 10 stories. But if you read AnimeNewsNetwork.com, AnimeNewsService.com, and AnimeOnDVD.com, that's pretty much all the news. You don't need any other anime news. That's it. Everything else is, who cares? Unless you can read Japanese, then there are sites that you can look at to get better news.
Anyway,
yeah.
Back when the SNES started fading and the Nintendo 64 was coming into prominence, that is when I abandoned console gaming to completely embrace PC gaming.
Me also.
Now, that lasted me up until the DS came out.
Yeah, I was still doing some GBA action, and I got a GameCube, and I did a lot of GameCube stuff. But even when I had the GameCube, it only provided intermittent gaming entertainment, because it would be a game, and I would go to the GameCube and play the game. Then I go back to the PC during the drought until the next game came out.
I mean, the DS and the Wii have pretty much been my primary consoles now.
Yep.
The Wii is really awesome, but we've talked about that enough. Mm-hmm. Now, there is one game, well, really 2 games, that I ever liked on the Nintendo 64, not counting, Zeldas or anything like that, but games that were kind of party games.
Grim hasn't played Zelda 64.
I have played it. I have not beaten it.
You haven't played it enough.
And I haven't played Majora's Mask.
You should. Good.
I watched you play the first 5 minutes of it.
I can't play that game.
I understand the plot of the game. I read a spoiler.
I barely understand it. All I know is 3 days and then you shit yourself.
Now, a lot of people seem to like this fancy new game called Halo. And they talk about how it's this great FPS. And I have Scott's making farting noises. I have this whole rant I could do, and Scott agrees with me. I don't know which one of us came up with the first, where, for the most part, it seems to me that people who like Halo as an FPS and not just as a console FPS, but they say it's a good FPS and they like it and they find it anything more than just an average FPS, are people who never played all the FPSs that came out years and years and years and years and years before Halo.
Or at least, maybe they played them, but they didn't play them. Like, yeah, I was one of those guys who played Counter-Strike.
See,
you know?
I don't know. Most of the people who play Halo and really like it have never really played FPSs on the PC.
Nope, not really, no.
But they also, regardless of that argument, just put that away. Anyone who thinks Halo is a great multiplayer FPS for the console has never played probably the best console FPS ever made, Goldeneye for the Nintendo 64.
I mean, if you really look at it, Halo is just updated GoldenEye.
Yeah, and it doesn't really update much. I mean, Goldeneye was...
The graphics.
Yeah. GoldenEye was not the best game. I'm not going to say it was some great game, but for what it was...
And in its day, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I hated console gaming. Never thought the Nintendo 64 was going to be worth it. I didn't really like any of the games on it. But I remember at band camp, every night in this rickety-ass cabin in the middle of the woods with this power cable going down the mountain, we were playing GoldenEye until the sun came up.
Nothing was better than a little midget running around on a boat, and there's a freaking Baron Samedi with a top hat, and he's got 2 RCP-90s, and someone fires the rocket launcher, and he goes flying into kind of...
It was all about the Moonraker laser.
Moonraker laser for the win.
My general strategy in that game was to go to any open area, strafe back and forth randomly while firing my Moonraker.
Yeah, there were basically 3 weapons in the game that I cared about. That was the Moonraker laser, the rocket launcher, of course, and the RCP-90, which, goddamn.
Dual RCP-90.
Dual RCP-90, just so many bullets you could lag the game if you knew what to do.
Now, anyway, we're not going to review the game, even though it's a
GoldenEye is awesome.
Fantastic game. No, what the news here is that Reggie from Nintendo...
Reggie, can you pronounce his last name properly?
Filami?
I think it's Fizami.
Whatever. The point is, see, I didn't have it in front of me, so I wasn't going to go over all the details of the news. The Nintendo does not have the rights to use this old Bond game. They can't just release it on a new system or anything.
Yeah, because what happened is Rare, the company that developed games like Donkey Kong Country and GoldenEye, was purchased by Microsoft.
Dun dun dun!
And now they make Microsoft games for the Xbox. And the rights to make James Bond games went to EA, and then it's currently held by Activision.
Now, this game is no threat to Bond games that are going to be coming out. No one's going to buy this and then not buy the new Bond game based on the freaking awesome Bond movie I saw over the weekend. But Nintendo has realized that there has been, for the last many years, a massive fan outcry for any way of Nintendo bringing this game back.
Yeah, because really the only way to play GoldenEye is to have a Nintendo 64 or to have a Nintendo 64 emulator.
Everyone wanted it on the GameCube, and Nintendo said they couldn't. And now with the Virtual Console, everyone really wants it on the Virtual Console.
I mean, Rare made Perfect Dark for the N64, which was sort of the same engine without the James Bond license. And it was good, but it wasn't the same as GoldenEye. I mean... It was technically superior, but it wasn't the same fun multiplayer action.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are games like Time Splitters 2 for the GameCube that provide similar action. There's Halo, which provides similar action.
But
and then there was Perfect Dark Zero, which just sucked.
Yeah, but we'll skip all that because it's not video game day. The news is simply that Nintendo pays attention to what its fans want. And Reggie said that Nintendo is exploring all the options and basically doing everything it can to get this game on the Virtual Console so we can play it on the Wii. Now that, even if they fail, even if Microsoft, and all the people involved won't budge and they can't get it, Nintendo cannot lose by saying this, because if they succeed, they will make a lot of money on people buying this game on the Virtual Console. I'd pay
$10.
$10 easily.
$10 for GoldenEye.
If it were $12, I'd consider it.
I wouldn't, but...
I don't know, the $12, but we could split it.
Then
it's only $6.
Shit. All right.
Yeah, but even if they fail and nothing comes of this, they made a lot of people happy just by saying that they're trying. And they'll even end up making the people who won't let them get the game look like the bad guys. It's win-win.
Also, in addition to the awesome multiplayer, which is the primary reason to get GoldenEye, it is a game with a really good single player.
There was a single player? I never even touched it.
You gotta play it, man.
No.
It's actually good stuff.
The only games I ever played on a Nintendo 64 were GoldenEye multiplayer and Mario Tennis.
If you played the GoldenEye single player, you'll see there's actually really interesting maps and missions going on.
No, once I played Smash Brothers, and I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. I'm sorry.
You suck.
Smash Brothers for the GameCube, however, was probably the best game to come out with that console.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Well, to come out with, as in the launch window.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'd count it as a launch game because Luigi's Mansion wasn't a game.
No, it wasn't.
It was just general Beauregard.
Beauregard.
Things of the day. Now, you're all familiar with anime music videos. You might be familiar with our opinions on the current state of anime music videos.
I don't know. Have we really gone into complete detail on them on the show?
I think we've tangentially got to them. We'll do a show on anime music videos someday.
That's a good idea right there.
In fact, I think when we do that show, we'll list and link to all the AMVs out there from back in the day that we think are good.
Yep.
And then what I'd like to do probably is we'll get all of our listeners to try to prove us wrong and find videos that are recent that are just as good. The only reason I don't see him is that due to the way the anime music video scene is set up, it's really hard for good music videos to become widely disseminated.
There really
these
needs
days.
to be, maybe there is one and I just haven't found it, but there really needs to be a blog of some guy who checks all the new music videos and then puts the good ones up on in a blog somewhere.
Yeah, we need like the OC Remix's equivalent of AMVs, because currently animemusicvideos.org is 99% crap.
Yep.
But anyway, if you think that anime music videos are lame, and we know a lot of people who do, even though I think that they can be really cool and they have their uses.
They have potential. The thing is, most of them are lame. As it with anything else, most movies are lame, but movies have the potential to be awesome.
Yeah, I defy anyone to tell me that the anime music video to Utena set to that rock cover of Hit Me Baby One More Time is lame.
It's totally not lame.
It's double unlame. But haven't you ever wondered why anime has had this music video thing that's gotten so huge to the point that it's kind of a fixture at almost every anime con, yet most other fandoms until recently didn't have anything similar? I mean, now with this machinima and all that, a lot of video games are starting to have the same thing, but I had never really seen anyone do this to a mainstream movie before. Until now. My thing of the day is I want to say anime music video, but it's not. It's a movie music video to Lord of the Rings set to the theme from Newsies.
Oh, God.
And there's a worse one out there, but I don't want to link to it. Probably the worst music video I've ever seen.
This one is painful enough. How could it possibly be more painful?
Well, the thing is, this is about as bad as the average bad anime music video. So it's really not more painful than that, except for the fact that if you haven't seen something like this that isn't too anime, it might seem worse. I guess my advice to you is that if you watch this and you cringe, and then you watch a terrible anime music video and don't cringe, you've just become sensitized. That doesn't make the anime music video...
You mean desensitized.
Yeah, desensitized.
Right.
That doesn't make it any better. I mean, the worst one I ever saw, which if you want to find it, you're on your own, was done to the Horatio Hornblower television series. And it was set to the song Candle on the Water. And it totally makes gay illusions about Kennedy and Horatio. It's literally just this song playing and like Horatio Hornblower.
Rim had a particular attachment to that video. He just kept watching it and watching it.
Yeah. Well, if you really want to find the video, I'm sure you can find it on the Horatio Hornblower fanfiction archive.
Oh, God.
There are more fanfics there than there fucking well should be.
So there's one.
I'm okay with there being one fanfic to anything. There's nothing wrong with that. But the sheer number of fanfics to Horatio Hornblower, good God.
Okay, so my thing of the day is really simple. There's Pocky. We all know about Pocky.
Yeah.
Pocky's that flavored sugar on a bready stick snack that they sell at
Otakon for $5.
Yeah, they sell it at anime conventions for ludicrously high prices, but anyone who's smart enough to go to the Asian market or has a good grocery store like Wegmans can get it at normal prices of $1 for a whole lot of it. And it's tasty, and, it's a good snack. It's fun. And there's many different flavors. And everyone knows what Gundam is. Robots, robot models, robot anime, manga, video games, etc.
Now, what if you were somehow able to combine these two forces of good and righteousness?
You eat a sugary robot?
I don't know.
Or you pilot a sugary breadstick?
Or perhaps you just buy Gundam-branded Pocky.
Yes, there is Gundam Pocky, and Basically, they're trying to get more people in our demographic to eat the Pocky.
I eat Pocky all the time.
I know, but I'm talking about in Japan.
Yeah.
This is not,
Well, you know what's going to happen? There are going to be people selling that Pocky at
That's what I'm
cons.
getting to. I'm getting to that.
All right.
But they're taking the men's Pocky, the default Pocky, and this other flavor of Pocky, and they're including in the box of Pocky a pretty simple Gundam model.
Oh, really?
And the simple Gundam model they show in the picture here, the model is holding a Pocky stick as if it's a sword. So, and there's 3 different models for the different flavors.
I think you have to get them all to put on your shelf of Gundams.
No, I don't know. But it's quite obvious that if you live in Japan, why not buy this? For fun. If you live in the U.S., expect people who run anime stores and are dealers of anime goods, to get this from Japan for like $1 and to sell it to you for $10.
Yeah, don't buy this at an anime con.
I'm just warning you right now. Don't pay more than $5 for one of these things. It's really not worth it. Because you're going to eat all the Pocky. You're going to make a really cheap $1 Gundam model.
Pocky's not really that filling.
It really is.
I mean, I really like Pocky, and I just kind of snack
I like
on it.
some of the flavors of Pocky. The strawberry Pocky is by far the most superior because it is the same filling as the strawberry koala.
Nah, see, I like milk Pocky a lot.
Of course, that is really the best Japanese snack ever is the default koala.
Yeah, don't get any other koala.
The default koala is pretty much the
Even
king.
though koalas, that's the cheapest ass chocolate squirted into the inside of that cheap
it sure
ass
is,
can.
but the default koala is by far the greatest Japanese. We need to do a show on Japanese snacks.
See, the thing
We'll
is,
talk about the gummies. We'll talk about the yan-yans.
because when I see people eating Pocky, and it doesn't really bother me, it just kind of makes me chuckle, but when I eat Pocky, I'll take like one stick and kind of nibble on it for a while. It's kind of a, you nibble on it, a little bit of flavor, and it lasts you a while. I watch people at cons spend like $5 to get this tiny ass thing of Pocky. They'll open it up, they'll grab all the sticks, they'll eat them in the span of like 10 seconds.
Yeah, this is the thing. My problem with Pocky is that the sugary coating does not cover the whole Pocky.
It's not supposed to. That way your fingers don't get sticky when it melts.
I know, but here's my problem.
What's your problem?
Is I take a bite. I try not to bite. I could eat the whole thing in one go, but I don't. I take like one bite, like I get a third of the sugary stuff. Then another third of the sugary stuff. And then the final third of the sugary stuff. Now I'm left with just this little bread bit. And the bread bit doesn't really taste as good.
Yeah, it does. I like the bread bit.
I don't like the bread bit. I'm not a fan.
How could you not be a fan of the bread bit?
If I didn't feel bad about it, I would throw the bread bit away.
Wow. That's like those people who only eat the top of the muffin.
I know, I hate those people because, but
Or the people who cut
I hate people who cut the crust off the sandwich.
I like how you knew what I was going to say because I didn't say it yet.
The crust is where all the action is on the sandwich. That's like the best part of the bread.
Case in point, DeBella's. They make the best subs ever, other than, delis in New York City run by awesome people.
Yep.
But DeBella's, the baked crust all around that sub bread is what makes 99% of that sandwich.
It is. But Pocky's the only thing where I don't like the bready bit at the end.
So you're one of those guys.
Yeah, but I do like Gundam models, and I do like Pocky in general. So
there's no reason for you to not buy this.
too much money.
I'm sure we'll
Not
be able to find
easily
it.
available.
We'll find it. We'll find it somewhere for a reasonable price.
If anyone's out in Japan, go check the store. See, there's some Gundam Pocky.
Yeah, mail some back to Scott.
I'll send you $5. I'll PayPal you $5.
Right. So we were gonna do, because Anime World Order has been talking lately about anime clubs. They've been asking people to tell them about their anime club, and they have this thing about how anime clubs seem to be failing. And I recently emailed them and provided the counterexample, the RIT Anime Club that's doing just fine and it's freaking gigantic, and various things like that. And we're having a little back and forth, but I realized as a result that we should do a show on how to run an anime club.
We should do that show.
Partly because we run that panel along with our friend Scott Johnson at, I don't know, almost every single major con in the northeastern United States.
Yeah.
And other than that, we ran the biggest freaking club in the country for years and years, and the club's still doing really well, even though these other clubs are failing. And I told them that we would do that show this week. And then, now it's late, and I want to go to bed. So instead, we're going to make peace with some of our listeners who've been bugging us for doing more comics on the show, which we haven't done in a while.
Oh, I see some people just went, yeah, and some other people just went, oh, fuck, and they turned it off.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about Mouse Guard, which, in my opinion, is a really cool little comic. But stay tuned for next week when we're going to tell you exactly in explicit detail how to make an anime club successful in the United States.
In the modern times.
Yes, and also...
And we'll probably Skype in our friend Scott Johnson if he's available.
Yeah, we might have to make it a multi-part series, considering that it tends to be a 1 or 2 hour panel at conventions, and we don't even cover half of it there.
Yep, anyway, Mouse Guard. So, months ago, when Mouse Guard first hit the street, it was just a little tiny indie comic about adventuring mice. And, who buys that? It's only sold in comic book stores. It's not something you can find at Borders.
Yeah, I don't go to comic book stores. I wouldn't have known this existed.
Yeah, so... who freaking knows about this thing? Not a lot of people go to comic book stores. They're buying the superheroes. They're not buying the little adventuring mice. So they did a very small print run. And what do you know? Sold out. So what did they do? They said, oh, shit. Fucking sold out. What do we do now? Oh, print some more? All right. Print some more. Sold out. Mouse Guard number 1, I think, is on like the 4th or 5th printing or something ridiculous like that. I mean, in total numbers, it's only sold, I think, tens of thousands of copies. But for an indie comic, it's pretty much the hit indie comic of the year. Like, far and away.
Yeah, I mean, remember this. I generally do not enjoy the vast majority of American-created comic books. Mm-hmm. I've said this openly and often. You might have heard when Scott talked about Captain Marvel and all that, and my feelings as to that comic.
Yeah.
So if I like a comic, that's probably the most ringing endorsement you'll ever hear, because it takes a lot for me to like a comic. Mouse Guard is probably one of my favorite comics, other than Scott Pilgrim, to come out in recent memory.
So if you try to buy like the first printing of Mouse Guard number 1 on eBay right now, it'll cost you like $100, $80. It's out of control, really. You can easily get though like the current printings of these things at the comic book store or the internet. Or any other place that sells comic books. Now, first thing you notice about Mouse Guard is it's a comic book sold issue by issue. I think it's a 6-part series.
Yeah, something like that.
And there's going to be a trade. So if you wait, and if you don't have a comic book store, I suggest you wait. There will be, I guarantee, because I asked the guy who writes the damn thing.
David Peterson.
I saw him at Wizard World Philly.
Yeah, he signed some of your books.
Yeah, not that I care. But he said there will be a trade. So eventually, perhaps probably next year, sometime, I don't know, that you'll be able to go to Borders or Walden Books or Barnes & Noble or Amazon and buy Mouse Guard, the whole thing in one book. So write it down and don't forget until then.
So what's Mouse Guard about? I mean, why would we go, and not just us, but half the internet and half the comic community go nuts about this tiny little comic? I mean, the first one is 15 pages, and it's kind of small and square, and there are very few words in it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a comic book. Like, it's about as thick as a comic book, and it's bound like a comic book, but
it looks like a record single cover.
It does. It looks like, the tiny vinyl records. It's square, and the cover is a little heavier stock than most comic books, and the paper is heavier stock, and the colors are, like, I don't know what ink they use, but it's really bright and a lot nicer than, most comic books these days with their newsprint or whatever they do it on.
Well, because it's so few pages and just the way it is, they seem to have gone really all out on the production values.
Yeah, what's the publisher? Archaea Studio?
Asp Comics. Or Archaea Studio Press.
Yep, that's right.
AspComics.com.
That's right. Archaea publishes a whole lot of fantasy stuff, and they basically picked up David Peterson, who was doing the Mouse Guard thing on his own, as soon as they said, oh shit, that's awesome.
So we can't really, we would review the comic in terms of talking about the plot and the story, but it's so short and not a lot happens to where really ruining even a single plot detail would really do you guys a disservice.
Right. So I think the best way to go about this is we can talk about like the universe and the setting of Mouse Guard and the setup of the first 3 pages or so.
So first off, forget about Mouse and Mouse Guard. The setting here is simply kind of a medieval low technology era with little city-states here and there, and there's this guard. And the guard is kind of like an order of knights and rangers that protect the kingdom or the little city-state and protect travel routes and generally keep the peace.
Yep. And, there isn't really a lot of magic going on. There might be, but it's not like there's wizards casting fireballs and
It's
shit.
magic more like medieval people believed a lot of funny things.
Yeah, they have swords and daggers and shields and armors and cloaks and general medieval action.
I like that, general medieval action.
Yep. The other thing they've got is political intrigues.
Yes, but I mean, the first plot starts out very simple. Just a farmer is traveling, carrying a shipment of grain, and he disappears. So 3 guardsmen go out to find him. And in the course of this, they end up fighting a giant snake.
Oh my god, a giant snake.
And also, the actual plot, or the leanings of the real plot, are introduced to you, and it is very much a kind of political intrigue between city-states, warring factions, kind of cool medieval-style plot.
Yeah, it's that standard plot hook that works really well every time, where there's a very, very small and insignificant task at hand.
Oh, you mean like a hobbit traveling through some cave and he happens to pick up a ring along the way?
No, it's a little more subtle than that, but
like 3 mice going out to figure out what happened to a 4th mouse?
Yeah. That you go out and it's like, okay, we're going to go catch this robber. And then you catch the robber, but then you realize there's more to this than just catching a robber.
Yeah, like you open his bag after you kill him and he didn't have money. He had a nuclear bomb.
So, or wait a minute, there's a whole mafia behind it, something like that. So that's what Mouse Guard is. And I don't want to spoil anything because it's so great.
Now that alone would be an average, medieval story. I mean, it would be made or broken based more on how it was executed and the art and the dialogue than it would on the actual plot, because the plot is very simple. But Mouse Guard, in addition to all that, is about mice. And it's not like they go out of their way to make it mousy.
Yeah, not like, you read something like Rats of Nim, which I love, and Redwall, which I surprisingly don't like at all. I, of course, granted, I haven't read it since middle school.
Did you ever see the Rats of Nim movie?
No. But
I got a rant about that.
Yeah, but the Rats of Nim, the book is great. I don't remember. I think I read the sequel, but I don't remember it. And Redwall, those who's the guy who writes those things?
Oh God, I don't remember, but I like Redwall.
Yeah, I think I read one of them in middle school and didn't like it, so I can't say whether I'd like it now, but I didn't like it then. But this is supposedly the Mouse Guard guy didn't even know about Redwall when he came up with it, or so I hear. There's an interview with him on what's that podcast? Indie Spinner Rack.
Yeah,
we met those guys at Mocha, remember, for like 2 minutes.
Yep.
But
I mean, in terms of it's just that whole story we read is the plot, except that they're mice, and they don't go out they don't say ha ha, I am a mouse. It's just they're mice, and say one of them has a weapon, and the weapon happens to be a fishhook. They don't say it's a fishhook. They don't zoom out and show the human dropping the fishhook. They don't even show humans. None of that. It's just the guy has a fishhook and he uses it as a weapon. And that's that. It's just part of the plot.
It's like all the mousiness of it really is in the illustration. You could take the writing of this comic and totally change the setting just by changing all the pictures to have them be humans or aliens or some other anthropomorphic beast of some sort. It's just the way it's drawn. They're mice, and big things that are small to us are big and dangerous to them, and they use very tiny things, and that's how it.
Yep. So a human knight would fight a dragon, and a mouse knight fights a normal snake
or a crab.
Oh yes, the crabs.
Crabs.
But
genius.
I mean, really, it's such a standard, straight-up, cool medieval plot, and the atmosphere of the mousiness just, for some reason, adds so much charm to it.
Yeah. The other thing is, a lot of stories that use an anthropomorphic mice and other things, like stories about adventuring cats or something like that. I'm sure there are some.
Puss in Boots.
Yeah, they tend to not have the super intelligent plots. The plot is so highbrow, with its political intrigues and social commentaries. Not much happens because we only got 4 little tiny comic issues.
Yeah, but yet there's such a world within the comic that they don't directly tell you about. It's just there. It's kind of this atmosphere around it. It's obvious that the author put a lot more effort into the world than is shown in the comic. He built all the backstory in order to write this story within it. I mean, if I read the opening bit from, before the comic starts, kind of the preamble. The mice struggle to live safely and prosper among all the world's harsh conditions and predators. Thus the Mouse Guard was formed. After persevering against the Weasel Warlord in the Winter War of 1149, the territories are no longer as troubled. True, the day-to-day dangers exist, but no longer are the guard soldiers. But no longer are the guard soldiers. Instead, they are escorts, pathfinders, weather watchers, scouts, and bodyguards for the mice who live among the territories. Many skills are necessary for the guard to keep the borders safe. They must find new safe ways and paths from village to village, lead shipments of goods from one town to another, and in case of attack, guard against all evil and harm to their territories. Hail to those who are able. Any mouse can, any mouse will, but the guard prevail.
Yep.
It was a little hard to read. The font's kind of funny, and I kept losing my place, so I apologize.
It's a nice font, though.
It is. It's just not a nice font for reading extemporaneously into a microphone.
Yeah. So there's three main characters, the three guards mice, and then every other character is basically not a guards mice.
Liam, Kenzie, and Saxon.
Yeah. I don't know which ones are which.
Liam is the young, brash, really funny guy with the green cloak. Mm-hmm. Kenzie is kind of the old, wise one traveling with them. And Saxon is the gruff fighter.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And there you have it, your adventuring party.
Now, I really want to take a moment to talk about the art, because the art adds so much to this.
The art's pretty much the whole damn thing when you get right down to it.
I mean, the mice are really kind of stylized, but I hate to say this, but they're in many cases absolutely adorable.
It depends on the panel. It's in some panels, it's like, ew, a mouse. And in other panels, it's like, ooh, little mousey, ooh.
But their faces are so expressive, and yet there don't seem to be a lot of liberties taken in terms of stylizing the faces. Most of their emotion is expressed merely through the way they hold their eyes and their whiskers.
Yeah, sometimes the mouth is open, and the ears, actually, he does a lot with.
Yes.
You know, sometimes the ears are folded one way or the other, and that change. And also, the direction the head is facing is huge. It's like whenever their head is pointing up, it's always kind of cute. And whenever the head is pointing down, it's kind of like, grr.
And it doesn't do any
it's
sort of...
use the angle of the head instead of eyebrows.
I mean, it's definitely not, a manga or anything, and it doesn't really have, super deformed or any of that stuff, but there are many cases when a mouse that's in the background, or whenever they draw a mouse small, they'll very pointedly use dot eyes and a kind of more stylized mouse, and it's very cute.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one right now, and I almost want to just crack up. But at the same time, on that same page, is the mice doing something kind of horrible.
Yeah, all the background art is it's like the mice really kind of stand out from the backgrounds at all times. Which I guess is a good thing.
The camera, if there were a camera, is very low. Like the camera is underneath the mice at almost all times. You're always looking up at them. You almost immediately forget the fact that they're small mice, and it feels like they're as big as us. But they're
Except
not.
for when there's something bigger.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, you see a crab, and you don't feel like, wow, look how small the mouse is. That's a crab. You feel like, wow, that crab is huge.
Yep. But, everything else that's not a mouse that's drawn is sort of like this, fantasy style that, who's the guy who painted with the dots?
I can think of a lot of impressionist people who painted with dots.
Where instead of, you didn't do the brush strokes, you just did, a bunch of colored dots. It's sort of like that. There's lots of dots and just simple lines. There's a whole lot of them, and that's what makes the backgrounds usually.
Yeah, the backgrounds are also, they're very atmospheric. And in fact, even the panels, there are a lot of panels that kind of do really not plot important setup. Just a lot of, a mouse standing there, or while they're talking, it cuts to a shot of the three of them from underneath. And then while they're talking still, it cuts to one of them holding the sword. And then it cuts to the sun setting.
Yeah, and the backgrounds, they really aren't busy either. It's like he puts just enough there to be necessary. I mean, here's a frame with two mice fighting, and you can tell there's a crowd of mice watching, but it's basically just a brown splotch with some lines around it. But you can totally tell what it is, and it keeps your focus on what's important, because the mice in the frame look really cool. I mean, it's not a bad thing, it's just... That's the way it is. I mean, there's a lot of frames where there is no background. It's just they're in a place with dirt, so it's kind of brown with shadows.
I mean, there's kind of the conundrum of it's hard to really talk about something easily if you like it, and I'm sure we were a little bit redundant. And it's also hard considering that we didn't want to talk about the plot at all.
Yeah, we got such a small amount of material to work with, and if we say any amount of it, we basically ruin the whole thing. Not
to mention the fact that we did this episode because we didn't feel like doing the other episode we were supposed to do.
Yeah, but it's good to pimp Mouse Guard.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, it's already a hit, but it's like a hit in this subculture. So people outside don't know that there's this awesome thing hiding away somewhere for them to go get.
Mouse Guard is so worth it to read. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I mean,
and it doesn't.
It's $3.50 an issue, and I think there's 5 issues out now, so that's what, $15.
Yeah, it takes almost no commitment. It's actually really short. It's really good. Even if you hate it, you've invested so little into it that you might as well go for it.
Yeah. And if you're really, stuck up about it, just go read one at a store, a comic book store, or buy one issue online. It's easy to get a new printing. Don't waste $100 in the first printing. What the hell's wrong with you?
In fact, if nothing else, just buy the first one, the first comic. It's $3.50.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find it. And if you're not hooked by the first comic, don't bother. But if you like the first comic at all,
if you're a fan of fantasy anything or comic anything, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to go, oh, shit, and buy the rest. Or wait for the trade and cry every day until the trade comes out.
Yeah, because seriously, even if this weren't about mice, I would probably still like it. The fact that it's about mice and it's about mice in such an amazing and well put together way is just bonus. It's just icing.
Yeah, it's like anyone can make a fantasy comic. There's plenty of them. Anyone can make, an anthropomorphic mice comic. That's nothing. To make a really damn good fantasy comic, and also have the really clever, and not the kind of played out anthropomorphic mice setting. It's like, oh, double bonus super combo, 100 hits, you go down, I win.
And also, one last bit, not about Mouse Guard, but about Wednesday shows. We've talked a bit about how we're going to do another final thoughts / spoiler episode in the future. And we've asked for your feedback. So we took all the nominations, and in the forums on our website, frontrowcrew.com, right now, there's a poll that if you're a registered member of the forums, you can see and vote in. Once all the votes are tabulated, and we're giving you a few weeks to make sure, everyone who wants to vote has voted, we are going to fully analyze whatever show you've picked, as we did with Big O2 many moons ago.
So if you would like us to fully analyze, in great detail, a particular anime that we have seen, including, the end and the spoilers and everything.
Yeah.
Either go to the forum and vote, or if you're not a member of the forum, join the forum and vote.
If you really, really don't want to join the forum, email us and we'll tabulate your vote for you.
Yeah.
But that's kind of lame.
That is kind of lame. If you listen to the show, you should really join the forum. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, the forums are actually really, really rocking.
Yeah, I can't keep up with them anymore.
And also, if you don't want us to do a show, like say you've never seen Trigun for some reason, which is actually right now the front runner, you might want to vote against it because Trigun's awesome and you won't be able to listen until you watch Trigun. It seems to be between Trigun and Ava at this point. Though Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex and Samurai Champloo have a surprising number of votes so far.
That's good, because both those shows are cool.
Yeah, but what are we going to say about Samurai Champloo?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that there's a lot. We could probably talk about the show for a whole episode, detailing the whole thing, but it's not a deep show, as deep as some of the other ones.
Yeah,
with
like
lots
at least
of hidden meanings,
like in the very least,
philosophical analyzings, and
like
metaphors.
Standalone Complex. In the very least, we would talk about a certain thing that happens and spend a whole episode talking about that thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
The thing that we can't talk about because it's probably the biggest spoiler in the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah, though Trigun, we could probably do multiple episodes on. And Ava, God, we need Ava week. We'll need to do 10 a month. And woe betide if we ever watch Fist of the North Star.
Woe betide if you would freaking read all 6 volumes of Akira. We'd need Akira a year.
God, we could do the Akira movie, but you know what? He gets big and fat. He turns into a blob, crushes people. That's the end of Akira. And you know what? Everyone dies in the end of Ava.
Yeah, here's the thing with the Akira movie is that it's really good. But then if you read the Akira manga, the movie doesn't seem so good anymore because the manga is just so damn good.
Yeah, that's not to say that Akira is not a good movie.
It's fantastic.
It's like with roller coasters. If you go to Cedar Point and you ride the Magnum XL 200, which was at one point the tallest roller coaster in the world, it's an amazing roller coaster. If you ride the Millennium Force, which is 100 and something feet taller than that and so much better, it's an amazing roller coaster. If you ride the Millennium Force first and you go back and try to ride the Magnum XL 200, you'll just be thinking, what the fuck is this shit, Charles?
That's exactly what it is. So everyone should read the Akira manga because it's so good. But you should watch the Akira movie first to have the maximum enjoyment in your life. And then go watch the Akira movie again and you'll go, oh.
Plus, the Akira movie leaves a lot to be explained. you'll probably wonder about a lot of what was going on.
We could do a whole episode on this. Let's stop doing an entire other episode and save it.
Yeah, well, suffice to say, read Mouse Guard, read Akira, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.